Supposed to be here to sing the national anthem. We waited, and I said, I'll do it. So I've done that once.
Let the record show that all city council members are present, with Mayor Stan Worth absent. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the meeting room and is accessible to the members of the public. Consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on June 6, 2022, as on file in the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of the treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $708,137.42. Item F, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $91,925.95. Item G, approval of final pay requests in the amount of $32,505.75 to Building Crafts Incorporated for the WPC Dewatering Improvements Project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item H, resolution number 6894, entering in a memorandum of understanding with Pinpoint Communications Incorporated to set forth the significant terms, expectations, and mutual understandings in exploring funding options to assist in the development of fiber optic broadband network throughout the community. Is there any item a council member would like removed from the consent agenda?
H.
Any others?
I need to abstain from D.
Mr. Claybaugh?
I move that the items listed under the consent agenda, except for item H, be approved, accepted, and are ratified as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Claybaugh and seconded by Morgan that the items listed under the consent agenda with the exception of H be accepted, approved. Your vote, please.
You're going to abstain from
D.
D. Okay.
That is approved,
8-0.
8-0.
I move that item H, resolution number 6894, entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Pinpoint Communications to set forth the significant terms, expectations, and mutual understandings in exploring funding options to assist in the development of fiber optic broadband network throughout the community be approved, accepted, or ratified as presented.
Second.
It's moved by Claybaugh and seconded by Morgan that resolution number 6894, entering in a memorandum of understanding with Pinpoint Communication Incorporated to set forth the terms, expectations, and understanding in exploring options to assist in the development of fiber optic broadband network through the community. Tobias?
So an ongoing goal of the city has been trying to find a way to bring fiber to every home in the community. Pinpoint is a company that's out of Cambridge, Nebraska. They have networks in McCook. I know they're currently working with Nebraska City, Syracuse, and Auburn. And so they contacted us, wanted to know if we'd be interested in exploring the opportunity to bring fiber to every home in the community. And so they presented to us an MOU. This MOU is not exclusive. The only thing basically it requires is that we remain confidential. And so we'll have to share some information back and forth, and that information has to stay confidential, but we're allowed to continue to work with other providers in the meantime as well.
Answers my question.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We keep trying.
This is probably, as I read that, I thought this is about as close as we've come.
So
Any other questions? If not, your vote, please. That is approved, 7-0. We have no public hearings or bids tonight. We'll move to resolutions. Resolution number 6895, adopting a revised Downtown Façade Improvement Program guidelines to include alley facades.
I move that resolution number 6895 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh and seconded by Fralin that resolution number 6895 be passed and adopted. Tobias?
So we've been working on our downtown revitalization grant. As you know, that we first adopted a set of guidelines once that the state gave us. Then they came back and asked us to amend them to remove some sidewalk work. Now they've come back and indicated that in their mind, facades just mean the part of the building that faces the street. And so if you want to do work on the back side of the building, you have to specifically state that in your guidelines. And so we've added one sentence in these guidelines that state that we believe facades also include alley entrances, which is something that we've talked about doing in our downtown revitalization plans and different studies. We've had that as a goal of ours moving forward. And so that's the amendment to the proposed guidelines before you tonight.
Toby?
Yes, sir.
These people put in a bid on this stuff, or request, and it goes to a committee. Will they take the front-facing facades as a priority over the alleys? I would much rather see the money going to the front-facing facades of the street than I would the alleys. How will they do this?
So the committee has already reviewed all of the applications we received. If memory serves me correctly, I think we got 51 applications. The committee has narrowed it down to 13 that we're going to recommend awarding to. We just got finished up with environmental reviews here. I believe this week is when Cinda's hoping to get all those finalized. We sent out loan documents to, I think, about 8 of them today. I got those done. I have another 6 or 7 to get done tomorrow. But they'll hopefully come back to you at the July meetings to get final approval. But yes, the committee looked at downtown housing, some facade work, obviously some code enforcement stuff. How do you make buildings just more viable moving forward? Those are the things they looked at first.
Will this affect any of the selections or affect anything?
No, it will not affect anybody who's been selected. We had a few that the state wants more clarification on our guidelines to make sure that it was within the guidelines, and so that's why we're amending things. But it should not impact anybody who's been selected or going to be recommended.
Good.
Any other questions? Gary?
I would agree with Rich, but there are some locations downtown that improving the back of the buildings that are exposed to the main streets, Rick's Pharmacy or Nate's Pharmacy, the back of Waggles, and some of those would, if they got the front taken care of, I'm sure would benefit from something on the back.
Anything else? If not, your vote, please. As approved, 7-0. Resolution number 6895 has been passed. Resolution number 6896, executing a loan agreement, promissory note, deeds of trust, personal guarantees, and all other documents necessary to issue said loan between the city and A&N Dogboarding, LLC, and Nicholas Bell and Hannah Bell, David F. Bell, and Amy R. Bell for the economic development loan totaling $98,056 from funds derived from LB 840 funds.
I move that resolution number 6896 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh and seconded by Fralin that resolution number 6896 be passed and adopted.
Yes, so I got Nick Bell and Amy Bell here if they want to come on up and they can talk to us about what their project is. But what they came in and applied for was an LB 840 loan. They're purchasing the building that everybody knows is the Spady Runcie building. If you're not familiar with the Spady Runcie building, you're on the northwest corner of 19th and Court Street. They want to start a dog boarding company there. They came in, they had a business plan on financials. The CARC reviewed those, and their recommendation before you was a $98,000 loan. The $56 is filing fees for deeds of trust and that kind of stuff. That's how you get to $98,056. 15-year loan, 4% interest. For those of you asking about the interest rate, a CARC meeting was held before the Fed increased the prime rate, 3/4 of a basis point. Hence, that's why it's at 4% and not 4 3/4, where everybody else might too. But other than that, Amy Bell, Nick Bell here to answer questions you guys might have about their project.
I don't know if it's for them or for you, but the first information that we got, this was a different amount.
Correct. So that was one thing they were working on. One was to make sure they finalized their numbers that they had, what they needed to get up and started. And 2, they had a bank loan that was sitting out there. And the question was, how much was the bank loan going to be for versus how much the city loan was going to be for? And once they finally got a finalized number from their bank, that's why our loan amount went down, because the bank took a bigger portion.
That was my question.
Would you like to just tell us a little bit about your plans and what you're planning, business?
Okay, want me to?
Sure. Yeah, we're gonna open a dog boarding facility inside and probably a third of that building. The other parts of that building We haven't decided yet. We'll rent out that space for some purpose. And then we also want to utilize the parking lot for food trucks, farmers market type things, lots of options there. Yeah, we just tossed around the idea of a dog boarding facility and got a lot of good feedback that everyone's taking their dogs to Lincoln because everything in town is booked. So
Yeah, we're getting calls already. It's extremely popular. We're very encouraged so far. Definitely want to keep that business in Beatrice. Everyone that that has called, especially over the summer months, the facilities in town are already booked, and I've asked, and otherwise they're going to Lincoln. We're not opening until August 15th, so we're very encouraged that we can keep that business in, I believe, Ward 2, which is Ted and someone else.
Rick, me and Rick.
Okay, yeah, so
What's the occupancy of your, gonna be for dogs?
30.
30?
Yes. Yes. We didn't originally plan to do it, but we're also going to keep those pups well entertained during the day. So keep them out of their kennels as much as possible. Keep them busy and playing. So a lot of people refer to that as dog daycare.
Socialization?
Yeah, socialization. So what we're going to do, market that, if you have a doctor's appointment and you don't want the pup to stay at home and chew up your shoes or whatever, you can drop them off with us and we'll keep them entertained so they don't stay at home and chew up your shoes or whatever.
Any other questions from the council?
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
I do have a question. Are you going to have some kind of outside area where the dogs can go to the restroom, or, like that if you're boarding them? A lot of places have like a green area that, fenced in where they can let them out there for a little bit and things like that. Are you going to have anything like that?
No, not at this time. Everything will be inside. Otherwise, we'll probably have some type of opportunity for the pups to maybe go to the walking trail, and we'll do that.
there's about 4 large overhead doors in that building. So
I'm familiar with the building,
yeah, where the potty area will be, there'll be a big overhead door that we'll be able to open and at least get the proper ventilation and all that stuff going. So won't technically be outside, but it'll feel like it's outside. Yep.
Best of both worlds, maybe?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for investing in the community and best of
Yeah.
luck. So,
Thank you, guys.
your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Resolution number 6896 has been approved. Resolution number 6897, entering a lease between the city and Stone Hollow Brewing Company, LLC, for a portion of the city-owned property along 3rd Street between Court Streets and Market Streets.
I move that resolution number 6897 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by Claybon, seconded by Billsbach, that resolution number 6897 be passed and adopted. Tobias?
So what you have before you is a lease agreement with Stone Hollow to lease them the public parking stalls that are located on the east side of 3rd Street between Court Street and the alleyway there. The lease is for $1 a year. They can only use it for mobile food vending purposes. If they're not using it for mobile food truck, then it has to be back open for public parking for the general public. And the city has the right to go in there at any time to do any maintenance work, snow removal, anything like that that we need to do. Then their lease takes a second, if you will, to the maintenance work that we need to do.
Any questions? If not, your vote, please.
Quick question.
Yes.
Just talking with Brian, he also made it sound like it would include things like Rib Fest for that entire lot. And so I guess just making sure. that
No.
that's-
He'll have to come in and do his normal, like he's done for Ribfest in the past, ask for the whole street to be closed down. This lease is only for the parking stalls located on the east side of the block.
I know that has also been submitted, so, yeah.
Yep.
Anything, other questions? Your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Resolution number 6897 has been passed. Move to ordinances. Ordinance amending section 13-75 of the Beatrice City Code relating to applications for mobile food vendors.
I move that said ordinance be given number 22-12, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Claybon, seconded by Morgan, that ordinance be given number 22-12, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is non-debatable. Your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Ordinance number 22-12 by number the first time, ordinance number 22-12 by number the second time, and ordinance number 22-12 by the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 22-12 be passed and approved.
Second.
Moved by Claybon, second by Billsbach, that ordinance number 22-12 be passed and approved.
So we passed the mobile food truck ordinance here a couple months ago, and what we heard from the brewery is they're having some issues with their vendors being able to get insurance that we've asked for. Now, I will tell you that the chamber has gone through the same process and been able to get, their vendors have been able to get the insurance that they need for Homestead Days coming up, but the brewery said they've run into this stumbling block. And so the proposed change we have it here now is that the full mobile food vendor still needs to have insurance and indemnify the city unless they're located on property that is leased to a business. So in this case, we just leased them 3rd Street. They can mobile food vend on 3rd Street. The brewery provides the city with the identification, and the brewery provides the insurance. Whether they choose to pass that liability back onto the mobile food vendor or take it themselves, that's their decision to make. But the city gets the protection that we need in order for this process to move forward, and they then can bring in mobile food vendors. They still need to come get the other permits under a mobile food establishment, let us know who's going to be there, but their different vendors coming in do not need to have the insurance then, because the brewery will be providing that insurance instead. That's the modification.
But they're well aware of the liability that they're taking on.
Yes, and we've made that very clear in the conversations with them, and they have decided that they would like to do that as a way to continue to bring food trucks in and continue to operate.
Did you mention to him about the explosion of the food truck?
We did.
Okay.
We did bring that to attention as well, that the article we found out there, and they didn't seem as concerned.
Never happened here.
Never happened here.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. Just so, not that I mentioned it, but I didn't explain it. If you'd explain that to the people that are watching and the people here.
Yeah, so there was a national story out there. There was a mobile food truck that exploded. I don't remember where it was at for sure.
Florida, I believe.
I think that's what I thought, but Florida.
Happens in Florida.
Luckily, I don't think anybody was hurt, but they did have one that actually did in fact explode. And so, when you talk about what can happen, and everybody thinks those odds are slim, they might be, but when it does, it can be catastrophic. And so, those are the types of things we want to make sure that we protect and identify the city on. And we still think we have that protection by this clause. We just if we're able to pass that liability on to, in this case, the brewery.
Something that a future dog boarding place that may have food trucks might want to study up on.
Any other questions?
Tobias has become an expert on it, if you'd like to just.
Any other questions? If not, your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Ordinance number 22-12 has been approved. Next, we move to public forum. The purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public for the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council at this time. Is there anyone here for the public forum? If not, we'll move to discussion reports. We have the city administrator's monthly report tonight.
A couple of highlights to point out to you. One is the Lincoln Street corridor study. We're looking for JEO to have that wrapped up into us in probably the next 30 days or so. Then we'll work on their calendars and see if we can't schedule to have them come down and make a presentation to council, what they saw, how the public meetings went, that kind of stuff. Rescue truck, an item that's been in the budget want list for a number of years, has been a new rescue truck for the fire department. With the CARES money, we were able to obtain one. It's actually down at the station already. So they are working on doing some changes they need to do to it in order to have it ready to be put into service. there's some shelves in there already. They want to make sure they roll in and out. And they're trying to measure things to see whether they want the jaws of life on the right side or left side. That's what they're trying to figure out at this point. But it was $260,000 was the truck. They used the CARES money, and then they had a couple of items in their budget that they basically deferred in order to have the money available to purchase this vehicle. We have a number of demo bids out right now. I think we have 3 houses, and I think a total of 5 structures that are currently out for bid. I think those come back in June 28th. So we're working on getting a few of those buildings down and get those wrapped up. And then the last thing is that the Public Properties Department are working on changing over the tennis courts in Chautauqua Park to pickleball courts. We've had some individuals come to us, express some interest in it. They got some funding through Beatrice Plus. They are trying to do some fundraising of their own. We need about another $10,000 to help make that project move forward. And so I know they're out trying to raise some dollars.
Do you need 10,000 or we need 10,000?
Well, we need 10,000 to make this project viable. So we have funding for it because it's not a funded project. And so that group is out trying to fundraise and find money. And so we are trying to get that project done and wrapped up here hopefully sometime this summer, but trying to find some last couple dollars to make it happen.
You spoke about the truck for $260,000. That was a demo truck, correct?
Correct.
And so how much savings did we get from?
A new one is about 400,000.
Oh. Oh.
Well, it was always on the want list, but we couldn't quite fit into the budget anywhere, yeah.
And what all does that truck do? I mean, you said carries the jaws of
400,000,
life.
what doesn't it do?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not a firefighting vehicle.
No, it's not a firefighting vehicle. It's a rescue truck, so it's going to carry all of the water safety gear in it. If you have to do a water rescue, it's going to carry, again, the jaws of life, stuff like that. It's got all the winches on it and all that type of stuff. So all of those other things that get called out for that aren't fires or ambulance calls, this truck gets dispatched onto and is put into service.
The lift bags?
Okay.
Those will be on that?
Okay.
Come a long way since we took over the ambulance doing it, Ted.
Yeah, yep. So Tobias, are you guys done?
Yeah.
I didn't understand the electrical thing, so if you move to the electrical part, and I don't have my pad, I can't tell you what, but it showed a loss. It showed a monthly loss, and I didn't understand the wording. I even tried to do the math, and I still didn't get it.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon that the electric department shows a loss in most months. It makes most of its revenue up in about 3 months out of the year. So you're talking June, July, August. Whether or not you get another month in there is not uncommon for electrical departments. I'm trying to see if I can get mine to get to the financials for you. Was it in the wording part or in the actual numbers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I haven't read it out loud, and I didn't understand it.
All right, let's see here. So on the number side of things, you're looking at the month, this month?
Yep.
All right. So they had revenues of about $1.2 million. Let me see here. We had expenses, operating expenses of about $1.3 million.
I had $211,000 I couldn't account for in my, when I was doing the math, roughly.
Okay. Let's see. And then they had non-operating expenses, again, of about $26,000. So for the month, they showed a net loss of $114,000 is what they showed. But if you're looking at the wording.
So it's just revenue in and revenue out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And now that we have switched our meters, so everybody gets billed on one cycle, we can read them all at the end of the month, and so we know what revenue goes into what months.
So it's total revenue, and it's month to month?
Right.
Okay. Shouldn't be that hard. I made it a lot harder than it was.
Yeah, let me get up here to the wording.
Well, I commend that you saw that.
I read it.
I know. That's good.
I actually wrote myself a note and had it with my thing. I just didn't get a chance to go home and grab it, so. Actually, I went home and changed into this.
That's what I thought. That's what I would have changed.
So yeah, it's hard to compare to last year because last year this time period we just came through the polar vortex. That's why it looks much different than a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I was trying to do. I made the comparison with month to month, and then last year to this year, and I
Right.
couldn't get it.
Couldn't get it?
Couldn't get it to work out.
Well, when you get your notes, let me know, and
Okay.
we'll look through
Well,
it.
you explained it pretty well. I think I can figure it out.
Okay.
But I should ignore last year's.
Right.
There's not a comparison because last year's, because you're not doing the same math as you did last
Yeah,
year.
you cannot compare it to last year. Last year was an
All right.
anomaly.
Okay.
Any other questions for Tobias on? If not, the next city council regular meeting will be Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 7 PM in this building. There may or may not be a work session on June 27th at 7 PM. With that, city council move into executive session. Mr. Clayball?
I move that the Beatrice City Council go into closed session at 7:26 for the protection of public interest to discuss real estate.
Second.
It's been moved by Clayball and seconded by Billisbach that the Beatrice City Council go into closed session at 7:20 PM for the protection of public interest to discuss real estate. Your vote, please. That's approved 7-0.